behind them. Politics, business, sports, news, all on VOP 96.1 FM. Now you have a voice.
Good morning to you. This is Business Around, a business today, on Voice of the People, 96.1 FM. Gisera is my name.
And of course, Simeon Sunday is my name. Welcome to the show. Of course, here on Business Around Town every weekday mornings, we get to talk about business, talk about some of the important developments in the stock market, as well as the equity market and some other markets as well. We talk about the developments with the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as some other news as regards the energy and power sector here in the country.
All right, we'll be running across several headlines. We're looking at the Naira plunging in the official market, and CBN is warning forex dealers against manipulations of the market. We also have the CBN and foreign airlines differing over $700 million trapped fund. We also have the IMF downgrading forecast for Nigeria's 2024 economic growth to 3%. We have a couple of other headlines here talking about Nigeria wastes $1 billion of gas despite shortages for power plants.
And also we'll be talking about the Naira depreciation and how it threatens the 2023 dividends for companies with foreign liabilities. And also we'll be talking about, the interconnectivity debt issue between Glo and MTN, and of course bringing you the update as regard that information. And also we'll be talking about foreign airlines as well, that will be talking about the trap funds. Huge story in business for today.
All right, before we get on to the headlines, let's check out something really important.
Here is our business quote for the day.
And now to the business quote for the day, and this is from the founder, CEO, former CEO or late CEO of Apple, and that's Steve Jobs. He says, if you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time. If you really look closely, most overnight successes took a long time. We only see the success after it's been reaped. And like a tree that reaches the clouds, the roots that hold it up are quite invisible. People don't see this, and the roots are beneath the ground, having spent years digging through the hard ground to stabilize as well as feed the trees to growth. And it is also so with business. Most times you see successful businesses and you think, oh, this business is doing so well, and you think they magically got there, whereas it has taken probably weeks, months, years of consistency for them to get to that particular level before they finally hit success. And I remember the story of Coca-Cola, how it started, and of course in the first year they sold about 5 bottles. And imagine Coca-Cola as a brand today. It's something that everyone wants. In fact, the amount of that particular beverage product that has been consumed almost on a daily basis is shocking. But if they had given up on the first year of their sale, saying, oh, they sold 5 bottles with nothing to write home about, they would have closed shop, but they kept on.
Exactly. Now they're internationally acclaimed over so many countries. Anyway, the point is, do not look at it as you're going to just get rich quick. Stop thinking that way. Anything that grows up will stay up. Anything that jumps up, it will come down. So you need that growth. You need that time to not only stabilize your business, to stabilize you as an individual, as an entrepreneur. You need that growth to stabilize you as well. All right, we're jumping on the headlines this morning. Looking at the first one here, talking about the Naira in the official market, plunging, and CBN warning Forex dealers. Naira plunges in official markets, CBN warns Forex dealers. The Naira plunged further at the official window on Tuesday, closing at an all-time low of 1,482 Naira as against the United States dollar. The local unit had closed at 1,348 Naira against the greenback on Monday after the FMDQ Security Exchange review the methodology used for the calculation of its rates. This came as the Central Bank of Nigeria released a circular to authorize dealers on financial market price transparency, warning them against engaging in sharp practices. The bank stated that its attention had been drawn to the practice of some dealers and their customers in reporting inaccurate and misleading information on transitions in the financial market. It stated that the behavior was not compliant with ethical standards and deliberate attempts to create price distortions by reporting false transactions to market manipulation, which will not be tolerated and henceforth face sanctions. Meanwhile, you've got members of organized private sector and economists themselves who are expressing concerns over the development, saying the fall of the local unit at the NAFEX window would likely lead to business shutdowns. You're looking at job losses, you're looking at hikes in the prices of commodities and services, and high inflation. So the Naira is really, this issue is very bothersome. Very, very bothersome, because you have Naira, which was prior to this administration, it was at 800 and something Naira, and now we're looking at 1,482 Naira to a dollar. That's a huge leap, Simeon, if you ask me. That's
about 8,500,
huge leap.
and I don't think we should actually paint it lightly so people feel, oh, don't worry, but it is becoming a problem. The depreciation of the value of the Naira, it's challenging for us as a country. And looking at this depreciation, if nothing is being done about it, as we always see on this platform, I just don't want to predict certain things for the economy of the country, because right now we've seen the inflation rate. We are heavily dependent on imports, and basically people import. You need some of this for foreign exchange, and when the value of your Naira is not even at par with the dollar, the currency you use in importing some of this product, it becomes a problem. It strains you, and of course it puts a lot of pressure on the amount you now trade for locally. So something not to be done to help the Naira appreciate a bit. And talking about the Naira depreciation, it is now threatening the 2023 dividends for companies with foreign liabilities, and operators are now speaking out. Some capital market operators have cautioned that quoted companies burdened with foreign liabilities or heavily dependent on imported inputs could actually face a downturn in 2023 dividend payout to their shareholders. The operators interviewed by a particular company following the free fall of the Naira arising from the harmonization of exchange rate attributed this potential decline to the mounting pressure on profit margins resulting from the current economic climate. And conversely, they highlighted those enterprises boasting substantial net foreign assets, or those primarily really reliant on local sourcing of inputs, along with products exhibiting some form of elastic demand, and may be better equipped to withstand the challenges ahead posed by the depreciation of Naira. So basically what it means is those companies that requires or sourcing locally, that doesn't heavily depend on inputs from abroad, that means importation, they will actually deal fairly with this. But with companies that some of their inputs have to be imported, and those companies too that are burdened with foreign liabilities will actually have a very serious time, especially when it's time for them to pay dividends to investors. At the end of the day, the investors will now be the one to suffer in the year in review.
All right, we're still seeing the CBN also complaining about differing, right, with the foreign airlines over $700 million trapped fund. CBN and foreign airlines differ over $700 million trapped fund. The Central Bank of Nigeria and foreign airlines operating in Nigeria, they have differed over the total amount of unpaid ticket revenue in the country. Now, the CBN on Tuesday said that it had concluded the payment of all verified claims by foreign airlines, with the payment of an additional $64.44 million to concerned airlines. Now, the CBN also said the development had brought the total verified amount paid to the air transport sector to $136.73 million, adding that all the verified airline claims had now been cleared. Now, in a statement issued by the CBN Acting Director of Corporate Communications, Mrs. Hakama Sidi Ali, entitled FX Backlog, CBN concludes payment of all verified claims by airlines. The Apex Bank said that the CBN is fulfilling its pledge to clear the backlog of all foreign exchange owed to foreign airlines in the country, and it's concluded the payment of all the verified claims. The statement by the CBN Governor, Olayemi Cardoso, and his team were doubly committed and would stop at nothing to ensure that the verified backlog of payments across all other sectors was cleared and confidence was restored in the Nigerian foreign exchange market. However, you're looking at the International Air Transport Association. In their own swift reaction, lauded the CBN for the latest payment of the part of the trapped funds, but stressed that over $700 million was still trapped in the country. While describing the $64.44 million disbursement as a welcome development, IATA maintained that approximately $700 million was still unpaid. Now, Geneva, Switzerland-based body representing global airlines in Nigeria said IATA welcomes the CBN's announcement this afternoon that it has released an additional $64.44 million in blocked airline funds. While this development is encouraging, it's crucial to recognize that approximately $700 million remains blocked with Nigeria's commercial bank. Well, if you look at it, in the last 3 months, we've had CBN clearing over $2.5 billion in overdue foreign exchange debts, especially with the airlines. So, looking at this particular statement, Simeon were owing $700 million of worth of backlogs. It's really concerning at this point.
You know, when you look at the $64.4 million that have been paid by the federal government, basically to clear the backlog of foreign exchange, especially being owed to airlines and some other companies. We talked about the report yesterday where CBN said it has paid some amount of money to clear the backlog. And I remember I talked about the foreign airline not knowing that it will make its way to the news this morning. And that's to show you that a lot of airlines have actually shut its operation to Nigeria. And that is because of the trapping of their funds in the country. It hasn't been repatriated to them. And this is what they used to do business. And this is why they've actually said that if we keep facing this challenge of getting our funds repatriated to us, all our funds still being stuck in Nigeria, we will no longer travel that route. And any Nigerian that has to travel to a particular country that we solely operate will have to now travel to other neighboring African countries that we're still operating in, and then have a connecting flight to that particular country, which will now increase the amount of monies Nigerian as an individual or transporters will now pay to get to a particular country, because now you're now using connecting flights to go to where you want to go to, because the airlines are no longer running your country. This is one implication on you as a Nigerian, for them, why the federal government is still keeping their cash trapped. So because if you don't understand the implication, this is part of it. And also still talking about the implication on the economy. This is not telling well, especially when we see some investors wanting to do business with Nigeria. And when these investors realize that if we're doing business, especially this international conglomerate, we want to do business in Nigeria, and it will be difficult for us to even repatriate our funds, what is the point of doing business in that particular country when we'll be having trouble getting our monies back, thereby at the end of the day? And the funny thing is, with this monies being trapped over time, you've seen that currency, the value of currency is not stable. that doesn't mean that the interest, you guys will pay us interest after this money is trapped in your country for as a long period of time, because at the end of the day, the value of naira 2 weeks ago is not the value of naira today, and the value of a dollar as at a month ago, even 3 days ago, is not the value of a dollar today.
So you're paying the current rate.
So which means that you are now, if you are owing me $700 million and my money is trapped in your country and you are yet to repatriate it, so what now happens with the devaluation of the currency, in the market all through? Will you now pay me what it now exchanged for at the time you are paying,
what it was at the time of the debt?
No, even if it was worth $1 million, and at the time $1 million is $700 million when you want to convert it to Nigerian currency, if at the time it's about $1 billion or thereabout, by now it could not go up because of the definitely exchange. Will you pay me the difference? These are some of the questions investors will want to ask yourself when they keep hearing stories like this from Nigeria. And $64.4 million that has been paid is a fraction of see the 700 million. This is 64 and 700. You've seen the disparity in value. Something ought to be done about this as quick as possible. And still talking about the dipping of the naira, some companies are running at a loss. And this is the case of a particular company that actually stopped its operation in Nigeria, and that's GSK, that is GlaxoSmithKline. They have actually said that so far their profits have declined by 33.76% to about 510.8 million naira in 2023, and this was is a far cry from what they achieved in 2022 financial year, where they had about 771.15 million naira in profits. And this unaudited, condensed, consolidated and separate financial statements of the company filed with the Nigerian Exchange Limited on Tuesday showed that the firm, which had announced the winding up of its operation in the country, recorded a drop in its revenue to 16.44 billion from 25.38 billion in 2022. And during the period under review, the cost of sale was about 10.35 billion naira, lower than the previous year, mitigating the impact of cost on the gross profit, which stood at about 6.09 billion naira. In other words, despite the fact that they've announced that, in fact, they've even stopped operation in the country as a result of all the financial economic challenges they were faced, especially in the African market. We've seen their profit. Yes, they got profit, but the profit dipped even further from what they had the previous year.
All right, we're having Nigeria wasting $1 billion of gas despite shortages of power plants. Nigeria wastes $1 billion of gas despite shortages for power plants. Natural gas, estimated at $1 billion and capable of powering millions of households, were flared in Nigeria last year, according to Business Day findings. Now, data obtained from the Nigerian Gas Flare Tracker, a satellite-based technology created by the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, NOSDRA, showed the country flared about 275.2 million standard cubic feet per day of gas from January to December. Nigeria's gas flaring problem is particularly serious because the country is also facing a major power shortage. Homes and businesses in the country experience blackouts for hours every day. Findings also showed the gas flared in the period has the potential to generate about 1.13 million megawatts. That's about 1,125 gigawatts of power for the country. Now, the gas that is being flared in Nigeria in a year could power at least 40 to 50% of the entire African continent that doesn't have electricity right now. You're looking at, this is a statement according to the NJ Ayuk, the chairman of the African Energy Chamber. This is what he told Business Day as well. Now, the AEC, African Energy Chamber boss, added that there's a need to go on a gas gathering system, capture that gas, stop the flaring, and turn it into electricity so poor people can have a fighting chance for a better life in our continent. Now, he's also said that small businesses can have the power so they can operate and create more jobs, pay more taxes. And what does that do to the government? The government benefits a lot because you expand the tax database. Well, at this point in time, you begin to wonder if some of the heads you're also looking at the oil and gas sector, and you're looking at the electricity as well. You're looking at the electricity and you're wondering, can we not find a way to work together? Can we not find a way to ensure that this gas flaring becomes a thing of the past and we utilize that gas to the best of our abilities? Can we not do that? Isn't it possible? Do we have countries who also use gas?
Looking at that so far, this gas flaring issue, it has been, an ongoing challenge for the country Nigeria. And when you see the value of the gas being flared, on a yearly basis, look at, the figure. It's been lost by the Nigerian government from the coffers of Nigeria as a result of gas flaring. And several times, so many critics and even specialists have actually talked about the need to stop gas flaring in the country because one, we don't even have a viable gas market in the country, and this is part of the challenge why gas flaring will not stop. And there is no resource, a way of channeling this resource to other things. Because if we have a viable gas market, and thankfully for this particular administration, the administration of